What I'm going to do is reenact something that happened to me when I was, you know what? Let's turn the microphone on. What we're doing today is reenacting an incident that happened to me while I was on duty for the Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department. And I guess it was a little joke being played on me. And I'll just show you what happened. It's kind of funny and it's kind of spooky as well. Follow me. So anyway, I was directing traffic at Michigan and Meridian Street for a detail, and I had to use a bathroom. These bathrooms are much nicer than porta potties, of course. And so I came in here, just like I always do for all these details that I used to work when I was on the department. Came in here. Went over here to one of these urinals, used the bathroom. Turned around, I went to this sink right here. And at the time, these were brand new. These are replacements for old faucets. And at the time, these faucets had just been put in, so they were brand spanking new. So there's no reason for this to have happened. For one thing, these are cartridge type faucets. They're not the old brass ones. They look like old brass ones, but it's a I don't know, I guess you call it kind of like a resto mod. It looks old, but it's not. So I come over here, I wash my hands like this. And of course I'm in uniform too, so maybe that was part of it, who knows. Come over here. I heard another sound, a sound like this. And I turned around after drying my hands, and I saw that. We all know that can't happen, but it did. Broad daylight. And I turned around and I said, very funny. You know, I kind of laughed about it. Walked out and went back to my post. So it wasn't really creepy. It wasn't scary or anything like that. It was. I think it was. You know, it could have been a soldier, a sailor, airman. Who knows? That decided he was going to play a joke on a cop, and I could see that because, you know. They're young men. They get out and get drunk and get arrested or get in all kinds of trouble with the police, you know, when they're young, and they're with a bunch of other guys just like them. So I can see that would happen. What I want to do now is, I don't know, I guess just basically talk about my little theory when it comes to weapons. I've got some battle rifles from World War II, and I like them. But I had some thoughts about this some of my battle rifles after I wrote a story called Dead Air, which you can find on Wattpad, and it's about a World War II rifle. So if you follow me, we'll go take a look at some World War II rifles and other weapons. This here is the kind of a reproduction of the USS Indianapolis radio room. Now some of these equipment in here is brand new World War II tube ship radios, and they can't turn them on because they'll interfere with the airport, Indianapolis International Airport, because they're very powerful radios. But I guess somebody found brand new World War II radio sets. Now we're talking big things like a refrigerator, new in the crate. And so that's got to be an incredible find to see something like that, brand new World War II ship radios. So he donated them. And so they're in there, and there's nothing connected with that. I just think it's an interesting story, and it's a tribute to the sailors who lost their lives and those who survived from the sinking of the USS Indianapolis. Now you also see a lot of Civil War stuff in here too. Let's face it, this is a fantastic museum. As a matter of fact, right in there is where when the Indianapolis Police Department became the Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department, that's where I took my oath, right in there. And it's a beautiful auditorium. You probably didn't know that, cameraman, did you?
I did not. No, I was not aware.
Now we'll go to the shrine room too, and really, we're not going to do that right now. We'll go to see some weapons first, but the shrine room is just awe-inspiring. I mean, it's worth my old bones going up there. I wonder if the ladies have the same problem as the men's room. Perhaps the spirit of a whack is in there. We're Women's Army Corps. That's an old picture of Indianapolis downtown. It's changed quite a bit since then. Much bigger. More lights, more everything. Now this is pictures of just down the street from here during World War II. These are German captured planes. Let's see, one of them is ours. That's the P-47. P-47 Thunderbolt, hell of a plane. It's like a flying tank. Some of them have been reported to have been shot up with their pistons and connecting rods just flailing around, and the damn things still run. The other one was a captured, captured German Messerschmitt 109. This one here, something that's. I was thinking, wouldn't that be right here? Yeah, that's the 109. This, I think that's one of those gliders that were used on D-Day. But I think that, but possibly because it's 44, so it would have been June 6, 1944. So yeah, that's probably one of the gliders. That would be an American glider there. The British ones were round, more rounded, more streamlined. I just think, wouldn't it be fantastic to have been there, or to go back in time and see this display in person. That would be so amazing in any town. Of course, I'm biased towards Indianapolis. I like Indianapolis, but I've always wondered, wouldn't it be so cool to be able to go back in time and walk around watching what everybody is doing, and to be a ghost, to be unseen. I think that would be just so fascinating. We used to have streetcars here. They were taken away in 1953. It would be neat, so neat to see that, and see the men and women the soldiers getting on the trains down at Union Station, lovers, husbands and wives, kissing goodbye, never knowing whether or not they're going to return. I think it would be so fascinating, because it wasn't black and white like all the historical films. It was in color, obviously, just like real life. And to see that and to experience it would just be so amazing. Or how about VJ Day or VE Day, the end of the war, Japanese surrender, and all the bells in every church and town went off, in every town across the United States. To experience that, I was born too late. Down here. Yeah, we're going the right way. Or are we? No, that's blocked off, is it? No, right there. We're going to kind of fly by this stuff because I really want to get to the modern weapons. Just get a panoramic shot. Flag from 1814.
Wayne is determined not to repeat the mistakes of his predecessors. His troops are well organized.
It's a real thing.
Prepared and aggressively trained and drilled with stern discipline.
Of course, I want every gun that's in here.
In 1793, Wayne is finally ready to begin the march.
These are reproductions, of course. They're not the original guns. They're reproductions that you can buy, but they're not cheap. They even have, you can buy pistols like this in a kit and make them yourself if you want. So anybody out there that's seeing these and would like to have one yourself, you can buy them still.
He constructs the symbolically named Fort Recovery, daring the natives to confront him. The anticipated Indian attack on Fort Recovery results in these searches.
There's some original ones. They're right there. Those are original rifles. Those aren't reproductions. Those are the real thing. Now I think one of my next firearms acquirement, I believe, is going to be one of these. I'm going to have to get a bigger safe, though. That's the only problem. And that's going to be pretty expensive, but what the hell, it's only money. Oh, God, scared the crap out of me. How you doing, sir? Now this is a portion of a tree that was cut from the Battle of Gettysburg, and that cannonball was fired from a cannon during the Civil War into that tree on the field of Gettysburg. That's the genuine article, folks. There's a point to this, I promise, and it has to do with paranormal. Now this is another one. This is a rifle because it's rifled. There are riflings in this bore, just like a handgun, a rifle, a deer shotgun. There's rifling to spin the projectile to make it more accurate, just like a football spins. The other one in there is a smooth bore, not as accurate, of course. It was a bigger caliber. Killed nonetheless. Again, you can see some of these are reproductions and some are original. Obviously, second from the top is an original rifle. These others are reproductions. Sometimes the original rifles just aren't available, or they're too expensive to acquire because they're actually from the Civil War. These pistols here, these are original handguns from the Civil War. .31 and .36 caliber. I would like to shoot those. That would be fun. And again, you can buy reproductions of these too. There's the Remington. That's an actual Remington, not a reproduction. Same up here with the 1860 Army. Original guns. And my cameraman has one of these, a reproduction of this Remington New Model Army revolver, and it's pretty dang powerful. I took it out to the police range years before I retired and fired it, and it's damn powerful. Here's some of the repeating rifles of the Civil War. I don't know if a lot of folks think that the Civil War only had muzzle-loading rifles, but that's not the case. In fact, these were very expensive. If a soldier had these, more than likely, the Henry repeating rifle at the very top, that would have been a purchase by the soldier himself. They did not issue these. Some units did get some of these here. And they loaded from the buttstock cartridges, black powder, of course. And the Henry fired 44 rimfire black powder cartridges. Those are no longer made. But there is a company that does make this rifle still, Uberti. It's an Italian firm that makes fantastic guns, just like the handgun down here I told you. I think yours is a Pieta, but nevertheless, it's an Italian gun. Craftsmanship is perfect. And you can buy reproductions of all these guns here, because people have enthusiasm for the Civil War. You've got a lot of reenactors all over the United States, and the Italians, for whatever reason, they're interested in our Civil War and our Wild West. And I guess maybe that's why the spaghetti westerns were made. There was more than just Clint Eastwood spaghetti westerns. There were others made too. And that's only an assumption, but I do know that's why they make these American guns over in Italy, because of their fascination with the American West and that time period of ours. Why exactly? I don't know. because we're a superpower now. I don't know. There's a fascinating pistol right here. Savage Navy revolver, 36 caliber, self-cogging. How'd you like to shoot that? Wouldn't that be an experience? I don't think they make reproductions of those.
A number of notable cruisers served with the station during the Civil War and would go on to become known.
Remains of 1,616 unknown Confederate soldiers who died at Indianapolis while prisoners of war.
Indiana's adjutant general and commanded the 11th Indiana Infantry Regiment. Wallace, who by the end of his military service attained the rank of Major General, participated in a number of major battles during the Civil War. He also served on a military commission for the trials of the Lincoln assassination conspirators and presided over the trial of Henry Rhodes, the Confederate commandant of the Andersonville prison camp. Eli Lilly, to most, is known for his founding of the
Nordenfelt. This is a Nordenfelt machine gun. Of course, me, I'd like to shoot every one of these guns.
His unit, the 18th Battery Indiana Light Artillery, was known as the Little Battery and consisted of 6 3-inch bullet fragments and 150 men.
This is a model of our Soldiers and Sailors Monument downtown Indianapolis, the Circle, if you will. That's why they call it the Circle City. And it's turned into a Christmas tree every Christmas season, and it's quite beautiful. They use LED lights now instead of the old incandescent, and they have music playing throughout downtown, echoing downtown Christmas music. They have huge Christmas displays and lights. Now they've got lights mounted on top of the buildings around the circle that flash different things, and snowflakes and words and damn near anything you want, and in all different colors. It's pretty amazing. In fact, before I retired, I did a video, and I posted it on Facebook. I think I did it under my real name, David McConaughey. I'm pretty sure I didn't put it on. I might have put it on Ace of Swift, on my author page. I don't know. Probably ought to post that just for the heck of it on YouTube. This is going to be on YouTube, by the way, too. Now this here is what's known as a big flag. But it's the 70th Indiana Regiment Infantry, number 183, and what it is it commemorates these battles that the Indiana Civil War soldiers were in. Kennesaw Mountain, well, everybody knows Kennesaw, Georgia. Peachtree Creek, same thing. These are battles that Indiana soldiers were involved in during the Civil War. It's amazing that these flags survived. A lot of them were discovered in the basement of that Soldiers and Sailors Monument. That's where these came from. Who knows how long they were down there? I mean, that was built, was it 1851 or something like that? No, not 51. That's before the Civil War. Let's see, what does this say? Oh, okay, well, 1865. So at the end of the Civil War, that's when they started building on it. But that's where they found, and there's another Civil War museum in the basement of this building too. So if you're ever in Indianapolis, check them out. But that's where they discovered a whole bunch of Civil War flags. And some of them were very badly deteriorated because they weren't stored correctly, they weren't preserved, and let's face it, it's a giant fountain. It's a huge giant fountain. And what's going to be in the basement of a huge giant fountain? Moisture. So it's a shame, but they did their best to preserve them and try to restore what they could. Of course, I want every one of these type of guns too. And these, and these, and these. Now I have one of these. Well, it's kind of like that. This is a Remington version of the Mosin Nagant, a Russian Mosin Nagant. I purchased a couple of them with the Russian versions with the hexagonal receivers, and those are the quality ones. They weren't built during wartime. This is one of the crappiest machine guns in the world. This is show, and it was a Jam-O-Matic. The magazine was open, and so it allowed all kinds, well, you can imagine in a trench from World War I, with all the water and the mud and everything, and that's just what you want, right, in the magazine of your machine gun to save your life. Well, these were crap. I saw one display one time. It was fired. Some collector had it, and of course it jammed. Didn't stop jamming since World War I. But yeah, this is a French machine gun. They took away the BARs from our doughboys and gave them this crap. It was a German water-cooled machine gun. A lot like our Browning. It's kind of almost a copy, isn't it? Now the French did make a good cannon. This was a very fast-firing cannon. And it was very popular. This thing can fire really fast. Just boom, boom, boom. It's amazing. That's the handle for the breech, and they pull that handle, and when they pull that handle and the breech block comes out, so does the empty cartridge. That's what makes it so fast. They don't have to pull it out. It gets ejected. They slam another one in, and bang. Hell of a gun. The scene from World War I. This is a Colt-made Browning design machine gun. Very good, and it's made extremely well. You can see this thing is just a solid block of steel. Look how thick the barrel is. I mean, that thing is made. Well, that's why it's still here. It was made so well. They call it the potato digger. And if you look at this thing right here underneath, that's the gas block, and it flipped out. As it fired, it would go boom, 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 and that arm would flip out because that was the gas pushing that arm out. They call it potato digger because if you got too low when you're firing this thing, you're gonna end up with that whatever they call it, gas block digging in the ground. That's why they call it potato digger. And just standard Browning 1917. Everybody's seen those. But you can see it's kind of a copy, only this is smaller. But this would have been 30-06. The Germans would have been 8mm Mauser, of course. These are some various handguns, a revolver and a 1911 issued to our soldiers. Again, I'm showing these for a reason. Well, you'll find out. I'm hoping that the camera can compensate for the darkness. I didn't want to bring the light because to make our cameraman hold up even more weight, because it's got a shotgun mic on top of the camera and a balanced mount underneath, so it's getting kind of heavy to hold up for a real long time. These are nice rifles. They're SMLE, and they just call them smelly. I don't know why. Short magazine Lee Enfield, and this would be a 303 British. I have one of these, but it's been sporterized, so it no longer has that stock. But I have an Indian version of one in 308 that was made in 1965. So why they were still making these in India in 1965, I don't know, but they made them in 308 NATO caliber. So when they became part of NATO. Nice rifle, both of them. Couple Lewis guns. Got one's a Lewis gun. You see the sign up there, Salvation Army War Service. And they would bring a little bit of home for the guys. It's too bad we don't still have this around, you know? I think that's pretty cool. Right there's the Soldiers and Sailors Monument behind us. This is 1919, troops return home. It's too bad they still don't have that. It's kind of like the Arc de Triomphe in Paris. That would have been a nice addition to Indianapolis. Leave it there. That is from World War II. I mean, that was made as bronze bust. Let's see, 1939. One of our guys got it and brought it home. Can you imagine carrying that thing around? Oh my gosh. But what a prize, huh? Japanese machine guns. These were probably one of their better machine guns. The muzzles are welded closed. Of course, that's easily solved by just cutting the muzzle down past the weld and you use it again. These are Arisaka rifles. Some of them were made very crappy. This one here was probably made towards the end, and you can see it's much more junky. It's much more rough. There's nothing smooth about it. They're like castings. The castings aren't machined or anything else. Whereas you look at these here, and you can see that this rifle's finished better. You can look at the bolt and the receiver and see that it's finished much easier. These were made toward the end when the Japanese had absolutely nothing left. They nailed, the buttstocks were wood and they were attached with nails. And you can find rifles like this. I don't know what the prices are going for these days. The Arisakas. I don't really want a rifle in that caliber, but the early Arisakas were excellent rifles. The Japanese still make excellent guns. In fact, Weatherby firearms, some of the most expensive rifles in the world, were made by Japanese. The bluing on them is just freaking incredible. And this is a model of a battleship, Indiana. It was scrapped, unfortunately, in 1964 after only 4 years of use. That's how old this battleship was. They used it for 4 years and then scrapped it. That's the government just blowing our money. This could have been given to a city as a museum ship, but I mean, it was basically a new ship, and they scrapped it. And our government did that, a lot of that in World War II. They would dump trucks, tanks, all kinds of still usable, serviceable equipment into the friggin' ocean rather than have the cost of shipping it back. Just stupid, absolute sinful waste of the taxpayers' money. Hitler Youth rifle. That's nice, isn't it? Probably 22, I don't know. Well, you got to teach the kiddies how to murder people. I will say this, the Germans made a hell of a good rifle with the K98, and I have a version of that, and I love it. They were the bolt action K98 rifles were very, very good rifles. They're sought after by collectors today. MP40, everybody's seen these in movies, of course. That's 9mm. Same with the Walther, the P38 over here. That's a 9mm, same cartridge. Even though the gun is way smaller, same cartridge. This MG42. The MG42, we call it Hitler's buzzsaw, because you couldn't hear individual shots with this gun. You can go on YouTube and enter in MG42 to watch one of these things fire, and just bzzz. An STG 44, or was that it? Yeah, 43 and 44 up here. That's it. That was the first assault rifle, and that term was coined, according to Hitler, Sturmgewehr, assault rifle. What it used is a very short version of the 8mm Mauser. Much less powerful cartridge. That's what a lot of people don't know about assault rifles. They have a much less powerful cartridge than a standard rifle because they need to be compact, and you can't. And then for compact or lightweight, and you've got that same powerful cartridge, how are you going to have a rifle to contain that power? And if you do, you're going to have a hell of a muzzle rise. You're going to have lots more recoil, lots more muzzle blast. Now these are genuine assault rifles, which means they're either all-time fully automatic, or they're select fire, which means they can go to semi-auto and full auto. A AR-15 is not an assault rifle, and the ignorant news media and everybody else can scream that all day long and say the pigs fly if they want, but it's not the case. It looks like an assault rifle, but it is not. And that's why they don't issue them to any troops anywhere on the world, because they're not battle rifles, but they look like them. And looks don't kill, despite the cliche. Of course, I gotta have one of each of these here. Thompson M1. This was the quick version of the Thompson for the wartime effort. You can see the sight is just stamped sheet metal, and it's got a peep sight in the rear. There are no cooling fins on the barrels, just smooth. It takes stick magazines only. It doesn't take the drum magazine. The cutout, you can see the cutout, it's not there for the drum. And they were made to hurry up and get out there. Still a fantastic machine gun. This is machined out of solid bar stock steel. And these were for our paratroopers on D-Day. It's a folding M1 carbine. Instead of having the stock back here, it's got a little metal skeletonized stock that folds so that the paratroopers jumping out of planes can carry it without beating it to death. This is one of the better made Japanese Arisakas. Still, they didn't spend a lot of time on the wood, you can tell. That's just really rough finished. But the rifle itself is made better than some of those little junkers over there. That's the BAR, of course. I've seen those in the movies too. And this is an M1 Grant. Let's go over here on the other side. There's a part of a flamethrower pack. Another BAR, 60mm mortar. More M1, another M1 Thompson. One of these days I got to get me one of those. I got to get me all of those. Oh man. And there's another mortar. Let's see. This is 81mm mortar. And up here, another 1911 A1 with magazines in the holster. No, that's not an A1. That's the 1911. Japanese battle flag, original. And this is a 75mm pack. States, they still use these for avalanche control. I've seen them, although I did see one the other day where somebody was using a 105 for avalanche control. 155 shell. There's the 105 we're just talking about. This is the 90 millimeter tank gun. That was in the Pershing. That was the much better tank than the Sherman. In fact, they used that gun for quite a while. Elvis, when he was in tanks, the tanks that Elvis was in were also fired the 90 millimeter cartridge, or not cartridge. Well, I guess it is a cartridge. It's a giant shell. This is a grease gun made in Anderson, Indiana. What was it? I can't remember the name of the GM division that made those. Guide Lamp Division. GM Guide Lamp Division in Anderson, Indiana made these guns. They're just stamped sheet metal, 2 halves, and then they're welded. And you can see the sight is welded. It's not a bad weld job. That's 45 caliber. In fact, when they tore down the Guide Lamp Division in Anderson, they found, was it 2 or 3 brand new grease guns in boxes wrapped in the oil paper, that brown oil paper, brand spanking new. ATF, of course, these don't have serial numbers on them. They're just, they're just quickly made, machine guns. They don't even have a safety. They're so slow firing that you can fire a shot at a time. And that's what they wanted. They don't want to blow all their ammo. So they want a little bit slower firing gun. My grandpa used one of these during World War II. But anyway, ATF put serial numbers on these guns and gave them to the Anderson Police Department. I'm assuming they still have them. I don't know. I love this drill press. The motor's not there. It goes back here. Motor goes back here, and then you have belts like on older cars, V belts. That's a nice little drill press. So look at these headlines over here. Those are the real things too. Those aren't reprints. Those are real, parts of newspaper. Yeah, that's a defunct paper. The Indianapolis Times doesn't exist anymore. Neither does the Indianapolis News. The Indianapolis News went sometime in the 80s. I think they quit printing that. So it's just the Star now. And here's the same thing for VJ Day. And if you don't know, the surrender was on the battleship USS Missouri, which was used in the Gulf War, and now sits as an opposite bookend to the USS Arizona in Pearl Harbor. And so if you want to go on that battleship right there in that picture If you want to go on that battleship, you can. You just go to Pearl Harbor, and they do tours of it. And you can see the spot where the Japanese surrendered. There's a plaque that was built into the deck, and the flag flying at the time. Okay, I think we can say we can wrap this up. Here's the Jeep. This is my favorite thing here. This is a Korean War. We don't want to go into that anymore. Years ago, I think when my cameraman was a little boy, in fact, I undid the latches on the hood and looked in there. Everything's in there. The little four-cylinder flathead Go Devil engine still in there. Everything is in there. This thing is freaking immaculate. I would love to have this Jeep. Wouldn't that be fun to drive? Now, from what I understand, this one was made by Ford rather than Willys, but it's a Willys design Jeep. The Fords supposedly had the headlights out. The Willys were Frenched. They were inset. I don't know whether that's probably to protect them a little bit better. If bullets go flying by, they can take these lights out, but this kind of gives them a little bit more protection. So I'm just assuming that. I don't know, but it sure would be cool. Well, we're gonna wrap this up, and we'll go to the that room I was telling you about. There's a view of the inside of the Jeep. Missing a couple of shift knobs for the four-wheel drive. It's an antenna. It's got to have an antenna. That's a radio there for it, but it's got to have an antenna. And it doesn't have the canopy. It needs a canopy too. You can see it's got the frame for it. Oh, you don't know how bad I would love to drive that thing. If you come here, you get to see an actual Vietnam era Cobra helicopter. I do want to show you one thing in here. Again, it's connected.
And no one should doubt America's resolve.
The staff have been doing a heroic job in terms of responding to the patient.
They can destroy buildings, they can kill people, and we will be saddened by this tragedy, but they will never be allowed to kill the spirit of democracy. Make no mistake.
This is part of the Pentagon that was destroyed on 9/11, right here. This piece right here. This is actual part of the Pentagon.
We will do whatever is necessary to protect America.
Every other subject is pushed to the side. This is an attack upon the core values of this country, who we are, and we will respond with a single voice.
So this is from over there.
We'll take every step as necessary.
Maybe just go back the other way. was a piece of, unfortunately, it's gone, and it was right over here. A piece of the World Trade Center, piece of the steel beams, bent steel beams. They had it here. I don't know why it's not here now. But yet they have this. Oh wait a minute. No, I'm sorry. I'm mistaken. Right here.
Today,
It's the piece of the World Trade Center.
two airplanes have crashed into the World Trade Center in an apparent terrorist attack on our country.
And you can come here and touch it.
American suffers. We as a Congress and as a government stand united. Today's despicable acts were an assault on our people and on our freedom. This is a
Touch a
vicious attack upon New York.
piece of history
It's an attack upon
where
the whole concept of freedom and our way of
thousands of people were, you know, what is it like about almost was several thousand killed in the World Trade Center attack.
And we will be saddened by this tragedy, but
And this
we will
is
never be allowed to kill the spirit of democracy.
part of that.
Make no mistake, the United States will hunt down and punish those responsible for these cowardly acts. We will do whatever is necessary to protect America.
Every other subject is put to the side. This is an attack upon the core values of this country and who we are, and we will respond with a simple voice. We will not be on our commander-in-chief. We'll take every step that's necessary.
But there's a lot more to this museum than what you've just seen. We've skipped a lot. So I don't want you to think that you've seen everything, because you haven't. We've skipped a lot. And because it's not really relevant, it doesn't serve my purpose of it's not necessary to serve my purpose, my point at the end of this. This is for interest, this is a World War II dog tag machine under this cover here. They had a lot of these. It still works too. You play, if I plugged it in one time. Okay, we can go in here now. And this is a reproduction of the USS Indianapolis that brought the nuclear core to Tinian Island during the war, and was sunk after it had delivered the nuclear, you know, fission materials. Well, it'd be fission, yeah. Now this one's this one was used. This radio here was used. This one here is brand new. This is the one I was talking about. That's why everything looks brand new, because it is. They found a couple of these in wooden crates. This is all, but it's all brand new. It's high voltage. And can you imagine having to learn all this stuff? I mean, look at that. Look at that. I don't have the slightest freaking idea what all that stuff is. Look at this. Look at all these radios. All these dials, buttons, knobs. Look at them all. How do you learn all that? More behind you. Just everywhere. I do know that that bulb, I don't know what it does. That bulb is brand new also too. That is a brand new World War II bulb, never been used.
Welcome to USS Indianapolis, main radio room exhibit, Indiana War.
Okay, let's go on to the shrine room. This is a model of the USS Indianapolis here. It was in I guess it was in a lead-lined steel box that was welded to the deck of the ship.
So we're doing a documentary today?
Yeah, my YouTube channel.
Who do you represent?
I'm just myself. I'm just doing a YouTube channel. I write horror novels,
Oh, yeah.
and I started a YouTube channel. But I've always been interested. My grandpa served in World War II in Okinawa, so I've always been interested in World War II. Always started reading about it when I was a child, and of course I love all the guns. You know. How many of those would I would love to have?
Well, if you haven't been to the Civil War, we have 23 items that are never been on display. We just put them out.
At the Soldiers Sailors Line?
You know, that one's gone.
Oh, okay.
Everything's up here now.
Oh, really?
You know, we have water issues down there.
Oh, yeah.
You can't maintain the humidity and it's
Yeah.
down the
Yeah, I was looking at some of those guns and they were getting kind of bad.
So this is, we have 15 battle flags on display.
Yeah.
You probably know the repository for all the battle flags.
Yeah, yeah.
Almost 400 of them.
Yeah.
And now we have 15 on display every day.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I read about that when they were discovered in the basement of the Soldiers and Sailors Monument. Thank God they found them down out of there.
Well, they didn't do much better with them when they got them out of there. They hung them over at the State House for a while, and the sunlight was hitting them, and people smoking around them and all that. So
Oh man.
we have them now in hermetically sealed vaults. in the
Yeah.
basement.
Yeah. That's where they should be. Good. Okay. Well, we're gonna go to the shrine. The reason I write horror stories, and so my point was I retired from my APD. I used to come in here all the time, so it has a little connection to the paranormal. And these guys will tell you what happens here, in a late shift at night, all kinds of noises.
Well, I'm the director, and I've been here for 16 years, so I probably know a little bit about that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you know that there's strange things that.
Well, what I do
Strange
know
sounds at night.
is that one of his compatriots, Captain Police Officer, I came in here, I come to work about 3 o'clock in the morning. Because I get more done then than I do the rest of the day. So sitting right here on this table, there was a radar set up. I was in the military for 37 years, so I know what a radar is.
Yeah.
And this radar is going back and forth, and every once in a while it would blip. And so I asked the guy, I asked the police officer, I said, what are those blips? He said, those are paranormal sightings. And I said, where are they? Well, they're here in the building, and this is down here, and this is down here.
Yeah.
And I said, really? I said, yeah. And he firmly believed that. Now,
When I was on duty, my posting usually was at Michigan and Marine for parades and all that stuff. And that's why one of the reasons why I'm here. And it'll be posted on YouTube, Aces Swiss Haunted Places, but that's not my real name. I was in the restaurant, I had to use the bathroom, so I trudged up here and went into the bathroom and go in there to urinal just like everybody else. And I turned around and washed my hands. And that's those same knots in there. Like they had just been replaced from the older ones. They were almost brand new. And washed my hands, turned it off, went over to the blower, and as I'm blowing, I'm hearing this new sound. And I take my hands out of the blower, and I turn around and look, and faucet's back on full blast. guys when I was down here on duty, come in and talk to them, you know, about stuff that goes on. And the connection is obviously the weapons. How many Germans they kill, you know, how many Japanese they kill, and things like that. You know, so I have some World War II battle rifles at home. I wanted that myself. You know. Is there anything involved with that? Who knows? You know, there's reasons to be attached to some of those things in the USS Indianapolis. But obviously, bathroom faucets don't turn on by themselves, especially new ones with cartridges in them. So, and I told the guy about it before I left, before I went back on my post. Wow. There's probably a lot of stories I don't know about.
You know, the building makes a lot of noises,
Yeah. Yeah.
especially in the winter time.
Yeah.
And the steam, we have steam.
Right. Yeah.
So the steam's clanging and banging all the time.
Yeah. Well, let's go to the.
Okay.
Thank you.
Nice meeting you, sir.
Me too.
Oh, wow.
Kind of warm here. This is worth the climb. How's my battery?
Quarter, 25%.
25%. Okay, I got an extra battery just in case. After this, we're done. So, I'll show you a shot of the building outside. You're about to see a pretty amazing sight. I hope I've got my camera on auto, so hopefully it can adjust and do justice to this place. So I want to be quiet now. If you want to zoom, this switch right here. If you move it that way, it zooms. If you move it this way back, it's a toggle type thing. And I'll zoom back out, and you'll see it. And you can zoom up there. Is it incredible or what? This place requires reverence because this is dedicated, the whole place, but this shrine is specifically is dedicated to those who lost their lives fighting for us, their kids and grandkids. I'm one of those grandkids. This right here. It makes my point for me. Don't touch the altar, but you're allowed to show it. Within this shrine, there lives the spirit of brotherhood, binding the people of the United States with the nations of the world. Let's see if you can look down on that, the top. Okay, we're gonna cut it off here, and when we get outside, because we're finished here, this was the highlight. I felt I owed it to you to see this, even though it doesn't necessarily have to have anything to do with paranormal. Although if you heard the director down there, there are things that go on in here at night, not just my story. So if I have that story in daytime, what happens in here at night? And how many people has it happened to? And for how long? This place was built when Indianapolis was just a baby in the 20s. Shortly after World War I. You know, just because you can't see it, feel it, touch it, taste it, doesn't mean it's not there. Why do you think dogs and cats follow things with their eyes that we can't see? Because they see things in different frequencies than we do. They can also hear in different frequencies than we do. They can hear sounds that we cannot hear because our ears aren't made that way. They can see things that we can't see because our eyes aren't made that way, but they can see them. Watch your pet the next time he's in the house. If you've had some strange things going on in your house or somebody else's house that has a pet, watch them. Every now and then, they'll be sitting, you know, watching you or just sleeping, or all of a sudden their attention will be racing. They'll go. I've seen my dogs do it several times. That's not just because, and it's not a animal thing. They're seeing something. They're following it with their eyes. So don't just blow it off. If real science means investigation, doesn't mean you have to accept it on faith, but you should at least be curious. Real science is supposed to be curious, but they're not when it comes to that. And we're poorer for it. So anyway, we'll be back as soon as we get outside. I'll show you an outside view of the building, and then we'll sign off.
Sure. All right, we're good.
Rolling?
Yep.
Okay. This is the park that black and white picture that we showed of the P-47 Thunderbolt and the ME-109 or BF-109, same thing, a Messerschmitt, and a U.S. paratrooper glider. This is the park that they were at, and I don't know whether it was the west side or the east side. As you can see, there's the monument, and that was in the photo, and that's where those World War II planes were at. Of course, it was during World War II. And this is the World War II, Indiana World War Memorial Monument, or Museum. All of a sudden, I can't talk. So anyway, well, you heard what I said, what the guy said about the Soldiers and Sailors Monument down at the Circle. The museum's no longer there. Everything has been moved here now because of water issues in that basement, and it is damp. It's a shame because it was a nice museum, but some of the I noticed on some of the guns and handguns and rifles there was rust forming. That ain't good, especially with original Civil War firearms. That's a sin right there. So that's why they moved them here. It's too bad because it was a great museum down there. And there's only so much you can do. I mean, you've got the freaking fountains there. You know, tons of water going. Of course, it's going to be moist. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it was informative. My point was, and you heard me discuss it with the director, that you have to wonder, all those guns in there, all those weapons, how many enemy soldiers did they kill? And how many of those enemy's guns killed our soldiers? I've got some battle rifles at home, like I have already said, and I've wondered myself. I have a Russian rifle that was built in 1928. How many Nazis did that eventually kill? I'll never know. Probably did, but I'll never know. I've got a sporterized British SMLE Mark III. There's a Mark I. Hell, I can't remember. And how many Germans did that kill? Or maybe it was used in the Pacific. Who knows? How many Japanese soldiers did that kill? And are any of these spirits attached to these guns? When you talk to these officers, and like I have, about the things that go on in there at night, the noises and their own experiences, you have to wonder that. That's a lot of death and destruction in there, and I'm not putting down the weapons. I'm putting down war. That those guns represent a lot of death and destruction instead of entertainment and fun at the range. But they're tools. They're just things. They don't have a mind of their own. They're just made in a machine shop, and that's all. They're just steel and wood. There's nothing sinister about them. There's nothing nice, good about them. There's nothing evil about them. It's a tool, just like a wrench, a saw, car. They're just things. But there are theories about people's spirits being attached to things, and even worse than that, sometimes it's something very evil, something that's never been alive. And if you want to see something like that, you can go to the Warrens haunted museum. I think it's operated by their son now. They've since passed. Ed and Lorraine Warren. They had a museum that's all kinds of stuff. In fact, when you go in there, you were warned, and warned by signs too, that you're not to touch of anything. And if you do touch something, Lorraine said, "Let me know right away if you happen to accidentally touch something." So whether you believe that or not, that was my point. Is anything attached to those guns in there? I don't know. Maybe we'll know someday. Anyway, this has been Asa Swift. I hope you enjoyed the museum. Again, you didn't see all of it, so if you come to Indianapolis, come here and see this. Seeing it in person is a lot different. So remember, share this video, like the video if you do like it. If you don't like it, don't like it. I'm new to this, so I'm doing the best I can. And comment too if you like. But share the video, and the likes, those really help me. And they help grow my channel. And I want to get more viewers. And so anyway, I hope you enjoyed today. This little trip here at the museum. We've got another little tale to tell on a location. That'll be a different video, and so you just have to wait and see. Thanks.